will entertain a motion for the body to convene in a joint legislative session for this sole purpose. We will now entertain a motion for this session to commence. Honorable Johnson Gueglo.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I, Honorable Professor Johnson N. Gueglo, Representative Electoral District Number 9, Lima County, and Chairman, House's Committee on Rules, Order, and Administration, do hereby move, if I can obtain a second, that the legislature convenes in a joint session, legislative session, for the sole purpose of receiving the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah Sr., to deliver to this body his State of the Nation address. I so move.
Will entertain a second? The Right Honorable Boto Kano of Bapu.
I, Senator Boto Kano of Bapolu County, do hereby obtain a second.
Without restating the motion, are you ready to vote?
Yeah.
All those in favor, make it known by saying yea.
Yeah.
Those against, nay. Make it known by saying nay.
Yeah.
Abstain. Those abstain, stand.
Abstaining.
With the yea motion, with the yea vote, the motion carried. We will now ask the Chief Clerk to inform this august body as to whether the quorum for this transaction of this joint legislative session has been met.
Chief Dr. Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, President of the Liberian Senate, Honorable Dr. Buffer Chambers, Speaker of the House of Representatives and the presiding officer of this joint legislative section, Senator Albert T. Chair, President pro tempore of the Liberian Senate, Honorable J. Funati Kofa, Deputy Speaker of the Honorable House of Representatives, Honorable ladies and gentlemen of this global house. I'm honored to announce to you records from the office of the Secretary of the Senate, that of my office, show that there is a quorum for the transaction of this joint legislative business for the sole purpose of receiving His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah Sr., President of the Republic of Liberia, to deliver to this august body the State of the Nation address, which happens to be the 6th of his administration. And so submit.
Thank you very much, Madam Chief Clerk. Esteemed honorable colleagues, with the response from the Chief Clerk that there is a quorum for the transaction of business for the sole purpose of receiving the President, His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah Sr., to deliver his State of the Nation address, the Joint Committee on Executive of the both houses of the Liberian Legislature should escort, be accompanied by the Sergeant at Arms to escort His Presidency in this joint chamber for the purpose for which we have gathered.
Information, Mr. Speaker.
This was denied.
Information, Mr. Speaker.
Denied.
Mr. Speaker, please take note. They pay down for chairman squad. Please.
Denied.
Please take note.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What's up, man? How you doing, man? I'm fine. You got sent on the field somewhere. What about that?
Sergeant.
Honorable ladies and gentlemen,
Sergeant at Arms, approach the chair.
honorable ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor at this time to announce the arrival of the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah.
Excellency Chief Dr. Joel Howard Taylor, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, honorable members of the 54th Legislature, the Honorable Chief Justice, and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court and members of the Judiciary, the Dean and members of the Cabinet and other government officials, the Joint Excellency and members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, His Excellency, the Special Representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations in Liberia, the Chief of Staff and men and women of the Armed Forces of Liberia, former officials of government, traditional leaders, chiefs and elders, political and business leaders, religious leaders, officers and members of the National Bar Association, labor and trade unions, civil society organizations, members of the Folk Estate, special guests, fellow Liberians, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I come before you today in fulfillment of Article 58 of the Liberian Constitution, which requires me to report to the people of Liberia through you, their elected representatives, on the state of affairs of the nation. This year has a special meaning for me, as it marks the sixth and final stage of the nation addressed to this honorable body for the term of my presidency, to which I have been elected. In 2017, I was given a resounding mandate by the Liberian people to steer the nation through a constitutionally guaranteed 6 year terms. As this year concludes that period, I am happy to appraise you, my fellow compatriots, of the enormous progress that has been made in spite of inevitable challenges. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the National Legislature, let me welcome you back from your annual break. It is my hope that your individual endeavors during this much deserved interlude prove useful and productive, including interactions with your constituents. I look forward to more fruitful engagements during the course of the 6th session. The past years marked a crucial historical milestone for Liberia, when we we celebrated 200 years of the founding of our nation. I need not elaborate you with accounts of how much we have all been through as a people during these 2 centuries, including wars, the stadiums, an economic setback, a downturn. Well, together, we have remained strong and vibrant and have managed to always emerge triumphant and united through after every trials and tribulation, regardless of our ethnic background, religious belief, or political affiliation. As your president, I have made it my overarching purpose and duty to work towards preserving the peace of the nation, ensuring always that we do not slide back into conflict. This has been the fundamental underpinning of all development and policy initiatives of my administration. The record will show that we have achieved undeniable success in these endeavors, while at the same time always ensuring that there is strict adherence to the rule of law and protections for the constitutional rights of our citizens as we consolidate our democracy and develop our nation. Our well-earned credentials as a nation of peace and democracy in West Africa will be put to the test in about 9 months from today, when we head to the polls of general and presidential elections. These will be the 4th election since the end of the war in 2003. They will be an important benchmark for judging the extent of the consolidation of peace in our country. Perhaps most significant is that these elections are the first to be primarily organized and administered by Liberia since the drawdown of the United Nations peacekeeping mission in 2018. This is our moment. Therefore, we continue to demonstrate to the world that we are a peace-loving nation and that we are capable and ready to undertake elections that include all Liberians in a free and credible process. Not only to our individual patriotism we put on trial, but our institutions of democracy will also be tested. I am of the strongest conviction that this is a test that we can and we will pass. As you may be aware, I have continuously reaffirmed my commitment to free, fair, and transparent elections and to respect the democratic will of the Liberian people. I remain committed to that pledge. I want to thank our partners. Choose among them Sweden, Ireland, ECOWAS, the EU, and UNDP, and the UN Peace Building Fund for their technical and financial assistance to the electoral process and for their partnership and collaboration to support the National Election Commission, political parties, other national institutions, and civil society organizations to be ready for this defining moment in our history. Mr. Speaker, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we were all recently in shock when we awakened to news of the discovery of a large cache of arms in a container at the free port of Monrovia. We applaud the vigilance of all national security agencies for their collaborative efforts in effecting this bust. Coming on the heels of the October elections, this development is a major cause for concern. I have been made aware that the National Police Force continue to pursue every possible lead in the investigation of this illegal act, including diplomatic measures to have the alleged perpetrators face justice. As this year marked 2 decades since the signing of the Accra Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2003, which ushered in the peaceful environment we continue to enjoy, it is my hope that we can work together, putting aside our political differences, in ensuring that we can all peacefully abide together in our sweet land of liberty without the chaos of recent years. In so doing, it is both important and imperative that we summon our collective will to vigorously confront potential troublemakers and announce by applying the full force of the law that is provided for such circumstances. We owe it to ourselves, to our children, and to our children's children to repel and eliminate any threat to our hard-won peace. Madam Vice President and President of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Pro Tempore, and honorable members of the legislature, in keeping with the tenets of Article 58 of the Constitution, I hereby present my administration's legislative program for the ensuing section and report to this august body on the state of the Republic, covering the economic conditions, including expenditure and income. As I deliver this, my last annual message to the nation in this term as President of Liberia, I will first of all want to thank my Vice President for her support during this year. I would also like to extend a special thanks and appreciation to the legislature and the judiciary for the level of cooperation and collaboration that our 3 branches have enjoyed during these past years. Mr. Speaker, since this is my last annual message during this term, permit me to aggregate the total number of bills that have been passed during my administration to date. The 54 legislature has enacted almost 200 acts covering all aspects of our national endeavors. Permit me also to highlight from among these numerous pieces of legislation a few which, in my view, were particularly significant. These include, but are not limited to, the following. I implore you for passage of the Land Right Act, the Local Government Act, in the first session of 2018. The Land Rights Act has been considered by many as the most progressive pre-community land reform law on the African continent, as it recognizes and protects customary land tenure, as well as women's rights to land. The Local Government Act has established a system of governance consisting of local appointed and elected officials and brings them authority and resources to enable them to cater directly to the care and needs of the citizens in their respective counties. In the areas of health, education, roads, agriculture, and other development needs, no longer must our people always have to come all the way to Monrovia to get better services, because most of the things done in Monrovia can now be done in the counties. In related development, you passed the revenue sharing law in 2022 to enable revenue sharing between central and local governments in Liberia. It was designed with the main objective of promoting domestic resource mobilization to fiscal decentralization for local empowerment. In 2019, during the second session, approximately 54 pieces of legislation were passed, amounting to the second highest number of bills passed during a single session under this administration. This is highly commendable, and we applaud you for that achievement. Additionally, I want to commend you for passing the Power Theft Law, the Domestic Violence Act, and the Kamara Press Freedom Act of 2019. The Power Theft Law seeks to address the increasing theft of electricity through illegal connections, tampering with meters and with transmission and distribution lines, as well as the theft of LEC's assets, including lights, poles, wires, and transformers. It establishes a system of prohibition and penalties to deal with electricity theft, for which government intervention and protection is appropriate. Thank you also for the passage of the Domestic Violence Act, which is expected to promote gender equality and protect women and children from domestic violence. This law is intended to reduce the entrenched gender inequality practices which are on the increase in our country. Let me assure you that these laws will continue to be fully and appropriately enforced under my administration. Let me also congratulate you for the enactment into law of the Abdullah Kamara Act of Press Freedom, which is a very historic piece of legislation that codifies and criminalizes free speech as enshrined in our 1986 Constitution. With the passage of this new law, we have cast into the dustbin of history all updated criminal statutes that once restricted freedom of speech. Today, we are proud to see that dozens of newspapers exist unhampered and unrestricted, along with numerous radio stations and TV stations that are now flooding our airwaves. Mr. Speaker, While there were other significant bills enacted in 2021 in the interest of time, I would like to draw your attention only to some of the bills passed last year, which is the year under review. The year 2022 saw the passage of 56 bills, the highest number of bills passed thus far in the single session under my administration. In the interest of time, a detailed listing of these acts is attached to the annual message as Appendix A. Among these were several judicial reform bills, including a bill to provide conditions and authority to arrest, a bill to provide for a new standard of preliminary examination in cases above the trial jurisdiction of magistrate and justices of the peace, a bill to provide for plea bargaining, and a bill to provide for the appointment of additional relieving judges. Together, these bills have instituted major reforms to our judicial system and will help to establish trust and give credibility to the judiciary. I thank you once again for passing these laws. As our fight against corruption and financial crimes remain paramount, we applaud you also for passage of bills seeking to strengthen our integrity institutions, such as the amended Central Bank of Liberia Act, the National Intelligence Agency Act, the Anti-Money Laundering, Terrorist Financing, Preventive Measures, and Proceed of Crime Act 2021, the new Internal Audit Agency Act, and the amended and restricted Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission Act. Together, these laws will strengthen our anti-graft institutions and minimize the vices associated with corruption and financial crime in our country. They will also further strengthen our financial sector and make it consistent with international best practices, and will also ensure secure financial transactions in support of our monetary and fiscal policy. Thank you also for the ratification of several agreements with our international partners to provide development financing in support of our budget and infrastructure needs. Mr. Speaker, one of the most significant achievements in support of our call for national unity was the passage of the Dual Citizen Bill last year. Which was the year of our bicentennial. The moral significance of restoring citizenship rights to our brothers and sisters in the diaspora cannot be overemphasized. We now call on our families from the diaspora to come home and join us in the noble and patriotic task of nation building, so that we all continue to enjoy our sweet and glorious land of liberty, which was given to Liberians by God's command. Thank you again, members of the Honorable Legislature, for codifying the 23rd of December 2019 opinion of the Honorable Supreme Court, making more true the saying that once a Liberian, always a Liberian. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, honorable members of the legislature, While we applaud you for the record-breaking passage of these various bills, we would like to remind you, however, of some important bills that are still pending before you, including the following: agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area, an act to establish the West African Police Information System, the status of the International Renewable Energy Agency, the Legal Aid Act of 2022, the Liberian Correction Service Act, an act to establish the Civil Service Commission, a revised public health law of Liberia, the revised and restricted chapter of the University of Liberia, and the International Solar Alliance Framework Agreement, just to name a few. These bills are very significant to the success of our global agenda, and we therefore urge you to consider their urgent passage in this 6th section. Mr. Speaker, it is our understanding that an affirmative action bill aimed at increasing women representation in the national legislature is being introduced under the sponsorship of the Women Legislative Caucus and our Vice President. Thank you, Madam. We wholeheartedly support this endeavor in our quest to achieve gender parity in our political space. In keeping with international best practices, we therefore urge speedy passage to enable it to be signed into law. I will also be submitting additional bills for your consideration that seek to improve our overall governance system and structure, enhance our economy, protect our business environment, and create jobs for our people. Mr. Speaker, under this administration, a total of 22 executive orders were issued by me, from Executive Order 93 to Executive Order 114, in order to meet exigencies that could not await the lengthy legislative processes. More especially, however, during the year 2022, I issued 8 executive orders as follows. Executive Order number 107, suspending tariff on off-grid solar renewable energy products. Executive Order 108, supporting integration and access to social services and safety nets for refugees and other vulnerable populations in Liberia. Executive Order 109, extending Executive Order 100, exempting the Liberian Water and Sewer Corporation from custom duties on selected items. Executive Order is issued by me for Executive Order 110, extending Executive Order 101, repositioning the National Food Assistance Agency. Executive Order 111, exempting the Liberian Electricity Corporation from custom duty and GST on generation, transmission and distribution, equipment, materials, and fuel. Executive Order 112, establishing of the National Railway Authority. Executive Order 113, suspending tariff on rice. Executive Order 114, establishing the West African Police Information System. Mr. Speaker, as we go through the 6th section of this August body and the final year of the first term of our administration, let us be reminded that although we have worked hard, there is still a lot more to do together. Mr. Speaker, sixth session of this August body and the final years of the first term of our administration, let us be reminded that although we have worked hard, there is still a lot more to do together. We must now recharge our energies and redouble our efforts to complete what we started 5 years ago. In the spirit of cooperation and collaboration, so as to fully realize the goals and objectives of the Pro agenda for prosperity and development. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President Pro Tempore, and honorable members of the legislature, in fulfilling my official duty to report to you on the state of the Republic, our constitutional mandates that specify mention should be made of national income and public expenditure. I will now set out to do so and to describe the broader state of our economy. Permit me now to take us all back to the beginning of the macroeconomic journey that we began 5 years ago. When I took the oath of office in January of 2018, the Liberian economy was in a state of major distress. The macroeconomic foundations were weak. The country's net international reserve, which had been used by the previous government to stabilize the exchange rate, was very low. The exchange rate had plunged into free fall. And then, government did not seem to have the tools to deal effectively with stabilizing the currency at that time. As a consequence, inflation was increased at an alarming rate, while domestic revenue and development assistance were in decline. Our development partners met with me during my first week in office and informed me that the health pool fund, which had been paying the salaries of some 2,000 health workers, had dried up. They asked us to take these workers on the government's payroll at the cost of about 12 million United States dollars. The United Nations mission, which has been spending some 150 million United States dollars annually in Liberia, was also leaving, thereby depriving the economy of these resources. By 2018, all of these inflows were gone. The government's credit rating with commercial banks was at its lowest because the government could not settle its domestic obligations to lenders. The total government obligation to the Central Bank of Liberia was not even known because some government debt to the Central Bank was not officially recognized. This was the bleak nature of our economy when we assumed responsibilities for the leadership of the government at the beginning of 2018. Mr. Speaker, what we did not realize at the time is that the recipe for economic disaster had already been set. We are known that our economy was sitting on a strong foundation, but we were in for a rude awakening when the decline in the exchange rate began to accelerate. We had to get to work quickly to rethink, to rework, and to re-establish the principles of macroeconomic fundamentalism. To the nation, in which I announced an end to government borrowing from the Central Bank of Liberia. This policy forced the government to depend on its own resources and to live within the means of the national budget. This was a policy to help contain inflation and to reduce government deficit. In 2019, we also set out to fix the broken and unfair wages system in which government workers were paid without any set rules or paid grades. To end this unfairness, we had to abolish a general allowance system that was allowing this to happen. Although we were faced with revenue challenges, we were determined to keep all civil servants on the payroll. And so we adjusted the wage system and gave every government worker a salary which is based on a standard and consistent pay grade. As a result of this exercise, 15,000 civil servants received higher salaries, while some 7,000 were adjusted downward. Also in 2019, we entered an IMF-supported program and began a series of fiscal, monetary, and governance reforms. Under this program, the Central Bank of Liberia developed a new monetary framework that worked to stabilize the exchange rate without drawing down excessively on net international reserve, as had been done by the previous government. We set out to improve our fiscal balances, domestic debt management, and strengthen the fight against corruption. As a means of restoring government's credit rating, which was at its lowest in 2018, my administration formally and officially acknowledged all of its debt owed to the Central Bank of Liberia and issued bonds to commercial banks to settle the legacy debt that we met on the books. Mr. Speaker, 5 years later, the launch of these painstaking reforms, the results are out there for the world to see. Mr. Speaker, 5 years after the launch of these painstaking reforms, the results are out there for the world to see. Today, Liberia is a macroeconomic exemption in the West African region. We have brought inflation down from a high of 30% to a single-digit rate that is now under 7%. We accomplished this in just under 2 years, making it one of the fastest rates or inflation collapse in record economic history. We also stabilized the exchange rate for one of the longest periods, and we grew net international reserve to their highest level in decades. We increased domestic revenue to the highest level in Liberian history and took our national budget to its highest level as well. We established credibility to government finances and reformed the banking sector, which have been exposed to excessive risk-taking and a high level of non-performing loans. With the increased domestic revenue generated, we undertook a series of development programs in roads, electricity, education, and health. Mr. Speaker, these results were obtained despite the outbreak of COVID-19. What this means is that if the pandemic had not happened, Liberia would have been on a faster growth trajectory. But we gave God Almighty the glory, and we thank our international partner for standing with us and for the confidence they continue to repose in our judgment and in our leadership. These are the broad lines of the history that will define our administration as we face national elections in 2023. These are the macroeconomic and development narratives that the world is now beginning to learn about Liberia, for which our critics and opposition have tried to repress over the last several years. It's often said that truth crushed to the ground shall rise. The truth of the difficult decisions and courageous corrections we have made during our tenure concerning the proper investment in education, health, road, and electricity are out there for all Liberians to see and experience. It is on these truths that we stand as we continue to face existing challenges to deliver a more prosperous future for all Liberians. Mr. Speaker, let me now turn to the fulfillment of my constitutional responsibility to report to you that which obtained with the nation's finances in the last fiscal year. Revenue collection for 2022, including grants, was $740 million United States dollars compared to $646 million United States dollars in 2021. The large part of this difference is attributable to an increase in domestic revenue mobilization for the calendar year 2022. This revenue performance was driven by higher receipts of tax and non-tax revenue, especially taxes on international trade and taxes on income and profits. Of this amount, domestic taxes was $605 million, and extended resources received from our development partners was $135 million United States dollars. On the other hand, total cash expenditure for the same period under review was $774 million US. The excess of expenditure over revenue collections amounting to $34 million US is attributed to the use of treasury instruments. Of the total cash expenditure, $286.38 million or 37% was spent on compensation of government employees. $258.93 million or 33.45% was spent on goods and services, including grants and subsidies. 89.37 million or 11.46% was spent on domestic and international debt, and 139.32 or 18% was spent on public sector investment programs. The past fiscal year recorded the highest level of domestic revenue performance since the end of the civil conflict. This is clear evidence of economic recovery and macroeconomic stability. We continue to show strong improvement in mobilizing domestic revenue, which are due to key reforms on the domestic revenue mobilization strategy of the Liberian Revenue Authority. These measures include expanding the tax base, minimizing revenue loss through raising the tax effort, building public confidence in the tax system, and implementing greater effectiveness and efficiency in tax administration through innovation and technology. Sustaining domestic revenue performance is the only way we can guarantee the funding of our public sector investment program, which will then enable us to address critical infrastructure and social sector challenges, such as roads, electricity, healthcare, and education. It is also the only means to diversify the Liberian economy. And now, hereby call on all national stakeholders to support these reform efforts. And I would like to also encourage all Liberians and businesses operating within Liberia to pay your taxes fairly and timeously as is required by law. Last year we spent $139.32 million US on public sector investment to support public sector investment for the 2023 fiscal year. In support of our Pro agenda for prosperity and development, we are proposed to spend about $154 million US, which is 19.8% of the proposed national budget for the 2023 fiscal year. Major public expenditure items include $46 million US, mainly for the transmission of electricity from La Côte d'Ivoire to the CSLG transmission lines, and to expand our electricity distribution, about $44 million US for road infrastructure, $23 million US to the National Road Fund, $21 million US to direct national budget, and about $36 million US for the holding of the 2023 presidential and legislative elections. Thus, Mr. Speaker, electricity, roads, and elections will consume about $126 million United States dollar in 2023, demonstrating my government's commitment to put the Liberian people's money where it matters the most. Mr. Speaker, during the year under review, the government made significant intervention in a number of sectors, including health, education, social development services, energy, and environment. In the health sector, we spent about $17.3 million United States dollars on vaccines and vaccine-related supplies, COVID-19 vaccination, administration, and drugs and medical consumables. In the education sector, we spent nearly $38.9 million US dollars on tuition-free policy, renovating a public university, WISE and junior high school examination, the support to closing teachers' salary gaps, project and support to the engineering college. In the social development sector, we spent around $12.8 million US dollars on the county tour implementation and sports checks, the National County League tournament, the completion of the Omega and Douala market projects, the continuations of the Abano Society headquarters construction, and our contribution to the National County Project through the Liberian Agency for Community Empowerment. In the energy sector, we spent about $29.7 million US dollars on the CLSG payment, streetlights, and LEC transformer project, as well as the River G hydropower project. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, for at least the last 50 years, Liberian fiscal year has run from July 1st to June 30. Liberia was the only country in the ECOWAS sub-region to have this July-June fiscal year, which was inconsistent with the rest of the countries in the region. I am now pleased to announce that after successful adjustment in 2021, the year 2022 marked the first full implementation of the calendar year budget in our nation's history. Making it now to align with the rest of the ECOWAS sub-region. This has made reporting and regional comparison between Liberia and ECOWAS countries much easier. Mr. Speaker, members of the 54th Legislature, the 2023 national budget of $777.9 million United States dollars has been submitted to the House of Representatives for review, which is consistent with the total resource forecast for the period. The estimated domestic revenue is $667.9 million United States dollars, or 85.9%, while external resources are projected at $110 million United States dollars, or 14.1%. Consistent with our commitment to support public investment projects, we have increased capital expenditure in the proposed budget for fiscal year 2023 to $154 million US dollars, up from $143 million in the last fiscal year. Public investment is focused on key infrastructure investment, such as roads and bridges, and the CLSG transmission line. Other programs include the upcoming general and presidential election-related security, county tour implementation, the compulsory primary educational policy, the Aggregate Youth Empowerment Fund, and support to vulnerable small businesses. Mr. Speaker, Liberia recently concluded its full review on the IMF supporter program. The outcomes demonstrate robust fiscal and monetary performance. In the review, the executive director of the IMF have noted, and I quote, the Liberia authorities managed to keep the program broadly on track by preserving macroeconomic stability, ensuring a comfortable international reserve position, and maintaining debt sustainability. This level appraisal by the IMF was promptly followed by a transfer of $22.1 million to the Central Bank of Liberia to increase the nation's reserve stock. Merci. Perform well. In support of our economic reform leading to a stable economy, we have maintained our commitment to the independence and autonomy of the Central Bank of Liberia. Although the preceding year was a difficult one for the economy, my government supported the various CBL policy measures that have kept the economic recovery on track. Caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing Russia and Ukraine war, the economy grew from 5% in 2021 after 2 consecutive growth contractions in 2019 and 2020. Growth this year is predicted to rise to 4.2% from the 3.7% in 2022. Our macroeconomic environment remains relatively stable at a time when several other countries in our region are facing serious macroeconomic challenges. We hope and pray God that our friends recover. Inflation at end December 2022 was 6.9%, and the exchange rate between the Liberian dollar and the United States dollar has remained stable within the range of 150 to 153 for the past 12 years. 12 months. The past 12 months. 12 months. For the past 12 months. We have made significant progress in restructuring our domestic debt. At the outset of the IMF supporter program 3 years ago, all legacy loans owed to the Central Bank of Liberia, including the debt owed to the old National Bank of Liberia, were bundled into a restructured and consolidated loan. My government continues to live up to its obligation in meeting these payments in support of the recapitalization of the Central Bank of Liberia. I am pleased to inform you that the recent debt sustainability analysis by the IMF has upgraded Liberia's debt management rating from high risk of total debt distress to moderate risk. For high rate or difficult analysis, moderate, that means a balance. As the government, we will be committed to pursuing concessional financing to support our public sector investment program. This is consistent with our long-term strategy on debt sustainability. As of November 30, 2022, the total stock of domestic debt stood at $835.2 million and the total stock of external debt stood at $1.13 billion for a total public debt stock valued at $1.96 billion, which is an increase of 12.6% when compared to the end December 2021 debt stock of $1.74 billion. The growth in the debt stock was mostly triggered by disbursement from external and domestic creditors. The government paid $89.37 million in debt service on both domestic and foreign debt. Of the total debt service, interest payment accounted for $33 million or 36.9%, while principal repayment account for $56.37 million or 63.1%. Also from the total debt service, $57.7 million was paid to the Central Bank of Liberia, to commercial banks for treasury bonds, and to other institutions for domestic debt, while $32.3 million was paid to multilateral and bilateral partners. Of the domestic payment of $57.7 million, about $17.8 million or 31% was paid to the Central Bank of Liberia. This payment and the ongoing continuous payments of government's obligation to the Central Bank clearly demonstrate our government commitment and support to the financial and operational independence of the Central Bank of Liberia. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that the audit of the consolidated account is now current, with all audits backlogged being cleared. Currently, the General Auditing Commission is concluding an audit of the special fiscal year 2021. The fiscal year 2021, the payroll audit, and the audit of the domestic debt. These audit reports are expected to be submitted to you within the next 30 days. Mr. Speaker, we continue to implement reforms for the central government payroll and pension system with the objective of improving the welfare of both active and retired employees of government through centralization and digitalization. Our payroll is now easily auditable, predictable, and adjustable. Fairness and efficiency, while at the same time increasing the welfare of civil said. Since establishing payroll grades for all positions at the start of our reform in 2019, we have partially or fully increased or adjusted the gross salary of more than 28,000 government workers out of more than 70,000 government employees. These beneficiaries, employees include teachers, health workers in rural and hard-to-reach counties, and security officers within various security agencies. Others include academic staff at the University of Liberia, Tubman University in Maryland County, and other community colleges outside Monrovia. These adjustments have been made possible through the larger fiscal space created on our reform efforts. Mr. Speaker, because of the integrated nature of these reforms, today we are executing the legal power of Anthony LP scheme and the quick cash credit scheme, which now benefit thousands of civil servants who, through salary deduction, now have access to fast credit for cash, building materials, furniture, and fixture, electronics, and food items. This year we plan to expand the LPA scheme to rural Liberia to benefit more civil servants, including teachers, health workers, security officers, traditional leaders, and workers. This expansion will also benefit rural businesses by increasing their sales and profit. Mr. Speaker, as domestic revenue improves, we remain committed to enhancing the welfare of government workers. I have been informed that some 15,000 government workers stay made below the minimum wage of $150 as mandated by the Decent Work Act. This is completely unacceptable. No government worker should be below the minimum wage mandated by public law. I have therefore directed that as part of this 2023 budget, the wages of all such workers be raised at or above the minimum wage. I'm informed that the cost to achieve this is estimated at $6 million annually. So I tell you that you can do it. And so, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and distinguished members of the 54th Legislature, as we accelerate the discussion for the 2023 national budget, I urge you to make the securing of this amount of $6 million for these 15,000 workers one of your highest priority. I look to invest further on this. And we will talk it. Mr. Speaker, official development assistance, otherwise referred to as foreign aid, is critical to Liberia's economic growth and development, as it represents an important share of the national budget. In 2022, we negotiated and signed approximately 9 financing instruments with development partners worth a total of about $282.2 million. These projects and programs supplement our continuing commitment to exclusive growth and development in Liberia. We continue to take steps to improve aid coordination At the steering committee meeting of the PAPD held last year, I emphasized to our development partner the importance of coordinating resources in critical sectors such as health, education, and agriculture for more transformative results. The government and its partners have both reaffirmed their commitment to upholding the tenets of the Paris Agenda on Aid Effectiveness and are delivering framework on the PAPD to achieve this. But much more work needs to be done to deliver more results for the Liberian people. Mr. Speaker, 2 years ago, I delivered an address at COP26 in Glasgow, calling for carbon trading on the African continent. I repeated similar theme at COP27 that was held in Egypt last year. My vision is to have Liberia work with the international community to enhance Liberia's potential of being a carbon sink for the world. Given our huge forest reserve, smart climate finance is the way we want to go, and we encourage our international partner to help to get us there. We are committed to doing our part. Transition to this new model of climate change financing in Liberia. Liberia remains committed to the global climate change agenda and to meeting its nationally determined contribution. We are looking to improve governance of the forest sector and move towards a more effective management of our forest reserve as a means to transition to a better model of climate finance. We are also working to enlarge our protected areas and are committed to reducing our reliance on commercial logging, but much more needs to be done in this area, and we will continue to work along with our development partners to achieve these goals. Towards this end, I will open a climate finance forum to be held at the EJS Ministerial Complex in a few days, where the government and its development partners will explore ways of rethinking climate change, climate finance, and carbon trading in Liberia. Mr. Speaker, climate change is affecting Liberia in various ways, and we are accordingly responding with meaningful projects. For example, following submission of a coastal defense funding proposal to the Green Climate Fund in 2021, a $25 million coastal defense project for the township of West Point was approved, and the project has commenced. Here. Another coastal defense project for Green Bay, Sando County has also been approved by the Global Environment Facility at a cost of $10 million. These two coastal defense projects are expected to reduce the vulnerabilities of the respective community against the adverse impact of climate change. In this regard, I would like to thank our partners and stakeholders for assisting Liberia to secure the needed resources to address these glaring manifestations of climate change damage to some of our coastal communities. My government values the support provided by the UNDP, which is now only co-financing both projects, but which has helped Liberia to secure the resources needed for from the GCF and GEF. UNDP is also partnering with the EPA and the Ministry of Mines to implement the program. Mr. Speaker, together we have worked to improve governance and to strengthen the fight against corruption and public accountability. The recently passed a new Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission Act that gives the LACC the prosecutorial power it has lacked, and also giving it greater independence from interference. For example, none of the 7 LACC commissioners under this new law can be removed or dismissed by any president, including me. That this provision was enshrined in the law because I wanted to make it very clear that my government has nothing to hide, and we are committed to fighting corruption. You have also passed the Witness Protection Act and whistleblower laws. Additionally, my government has increased budgetary support to both the General Auditing Commission and the LACC. In the proposed budget, the LACC will receive the highest share of funding it has ever had in its district. We have also placed new leadership at the Internal Audit Agency. The government is working to place the IAA at the center of the fight against corruption, since it is the first anti-graft institution that can prevent corruption before it happens. We will increase the level of funding to the IAA in this 2023 budget, and we will now challenge the new management of IAA to find innovative ways to protect public resources. Mr. Speaker, last year we passed 12 out of the 20 indicators of the Millennium Challenge Corporation scorecard. This is the first time Liberia has reached this level of success. These passes show improvement in the overall trend of governance under my administration. We continue to exert every effort to transform the governance space. However, the MCC report does show that we need to pay more attention to equality and effectiveness in health and education. To pay more attention to quality and effectiveness in health and education. With the increase in domestic revenue that has been engendered by this administration, we will look to apply these new resources for further development and enhance the nation's human capital. Mr. Speaker, distinguished members of the 54th Legislature, the development and improvement in Liberia's human capital has emerged as the biggest generational challenge we face. Education is the cornerstone for our national development agenda and the pathway to a brighter future for our young people. It will empower them to create opportunities for themselves, their communities, and for our country. To this end, I have endorsed an education sector plan which has been developed by the Ministry of Education in conjunction with our development partner. This plan, which will spend 5 years from 2023 to 2027, summarizing our vision for turning education around in Liberia. I am confident that it will be a powerful tool to mitigate the current challenges in the education system, as it provides a strategic roadmap for the achievement of the key education policy goal of the government over the next 5 years. The education sector plan will require government to commit more than $500 million over the next 5 years. As government revenue increases, as forecast, my proposal is that we should devote an increasingly large share of these new revenue streams to this new plan in order to secure the future of our young people in Liberia. However, the success of this plan will depend not only on the Ministry of Education, but also on the goodwill and commitment of all education stakeholders, government ministry and agency, and the full participation, contribution, and cooperation of all Liberians and foreign residents in Liberia. Therefore, I want to encourage all of us to join our collective efforts together in working vigorously to achieve the targets identified in the education sector plan 2023 to 2027 in order to make our education sector better. Mr. Speaker, consistent with Article 39 of the Liberian Constitution and your joint resolution of 2022, empowering us to undertake the 2022 National Population and Housing Census, I am pleased to report that the census process is about to be concluded and that the provisional results are being finalized. The 2022 census represents not only Liberia's 5th national population and housing census, but most notably, it also represents Liberia's first ever digital census, and is one of the first digital national enumerations in our region. As you are aware, the processes leading to the commencement of the census encountered various operational and logistical challenges. This was not to be unexpected, given the large scale of a project such as the national census. Nevertheless, with a strong and concerted effort from all stakeholders, these challenges are being handled under the able leadership of the Vice President, to whom I assign oversight responsibility. I've been informed that a significant percentage of the Liberian population has been enumerated, and that provisional census results are expected to soon be announced, while the census thematic reports and final results should be published shortly thereafter. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to inform you that the census process has been conducted in accordance with the United Nations technical recommendations for the 2020 round of census, and it is conformity with both regional and international standards. I therefore take this time to express my profound thanks and appreciation to all national and international stakeholders who form a part of this national endeavor to deliver a successful. My special thanks and appreciation to also go to the many young persons who brave the tough environment across our nation and work from dusk to dawn until the process was successfully concluded. You are our national heroes. Congratulations. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, during the year-on review, the Monetary Policy Trust of the Central Bank of Liberia was focused on price stability by keeping Liberian dollar money supply and liquidity in line with macroeconomic fundamentals. Because of the soundness and effectiveness of these monetary policy, we have been able to protect the purchasing power of the Liberian dollar. The exchange rate of the Liberian dollar vis-a-vis the US dollar has recorded one of the longest periods of stability in recent times. And it is today considered as one of the most stable currency in the West African sub-region during 2022. In 2023, our government will remain focused on improving the living standard of our people by promoting a low inflation and stable exchange rate environment, which are important preconditions for macroeconomic stability and sustainable economic development. Mr. Speaker, net personal remittances for the 11-month period January to November 2022, including remittances terminated through mobile money wallets, expanded by 31.8% to $531.6 million, an increase from the $403.2 million US recorded for the corresponding period in 2021. This development showed that Liberia remains one of the major destinations of remittances in Africa. This is contributing significantly to our national development efforts. We would like to thank Liberians in the diaspora for their support in this direction. Mr. Speaker, we have endeavored to keep our banking system stable and sound as part of our effort to enhance confidence. During the year under review, the system continued to be capitalized and liquid, with increased lending to the private sector, as well as the growth in private deposit. However, the rising level of non-performing loans poses the single most important risk to the profitability and overall stability of the banking sector. In this regard, the government will give full support to the central bank in pursuing delinquent borrower in line with the law and in the interest of the public good. Mr. Speaker, for the year 2022, our external sector showed strong performance. Our trade deficit narrowed due to growth in exports. Despite a significant rise in our imports payment, especially for petroleum products, our current account deficit also improved despite the challenges with our current account balance. My government, through the CBL, has made significant effort in building Liberia's international reserves position to over 4 months of imports coverage, largely due to special drawing rights allocation from the IMF. This target exceeds both the ECOWAS reserve threshold at least 3 months of important imports cover and the target set on the IMF extended credit facility. This achievement means that Liberia is in a strong position to withstand any potential external shock in protecting the value of the Liberian dollar and promoting macroeconomic stability. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to inform you that for the first time in the history of Liberia's financial system, my government has established a secondary market to redeem public debts. The central bank lessens the Liberian Merchant Capital Limited to own and operate a discount house, which will provide additional liquidity to respond to the demand of our economy. This effort, in addition to issuance of CBF bills and government treasury bonds, will further support the development of the money market and a functioning financial market in the country in the medium term. Mr. Speaker, in addition to ensuring that there are adequate banknotes and coins to serve the needs of the economy in both the short term and medium term, my government is also promoting the National Payment System Program. The digitalization of our financial services and transactions is important not only for achieving our financial inclusion agenda, but also enhancing efficiency in our public financial management. In this regard, the government, through the central bank, has secured up to $7 million from World Bank to finance the upgrading of our national electronic payment suite. This project will significantly help in promoting interoperability among the different players in the payment system space, promote regional trade to the Pan-African payment system infrastructure, and promote effective and transparent public financial management through improved revenue collections and payment for expenditure. Mr. Speaker, in 2021, the 54th National Legislature took a joint resolution and with approval from my office authorized the CBF to implement a comprehensive currency reform program. This mandate called for the full replacement of the existing Liberian banknotes and the legacy coins which are assumed to be in circulation with a new family of banknotes and to introduce new coins. As we all know, this is a major national tax, critical not only to addressing the perennial problem of shortage of Liberian dollar in the banking system, but also supporting our broader objective of promoting the dollarization of the Liberian economy over time. I am pleased to commend the effort of the CBF under the leadership of the Board of Governance and the management for the achievement thus far. The currency reform project has been proceeding well and accordingly to plan. Notwithstanding all the many challenges, the CBA has worked with both the printing and meeting companies to ensure that quantities of banknotes and coins planned to be brought into the country in 2022 were all delivered before the end of 2022, adhering to the stipulation of the joint resolution of the National Legislature that no new currency shall be brought into the country in the 2023 elections year. The total currency brought into the country During 2021 and 2022 was nearly 34 billion Liberian dollars in banknotes and coins. This amount represents 71.8% of the total 48.73 billion Liberian dollars that has been approved by you. The consignment brought into the country cover all the denominations, including 1,500 Liberian dollars, 150, 20 for the banknote, and 10 and $5 for the coins. The remaining amount of the approved banknotes and coins, representing about 28%, will be brought into the country in 2024. It is worth noting that as at end December 2022, the bank has withdrawn and destroyed a total of 10.41 billion Liberian dollar legacy banknote from the circulation. I am now pleased to inform you that in line with the bank approved plan, the currency exchange exercise is being implemented in a gradual process. Through the commercial banks, the CBA has also informed me that it has also taken measures to decentralize the exchange exercise across the country through the utilization of its Banga cash hub and plan to extend to Bojema and Zweju by the first quarter of this year. In addition, the CBA has reached an agreement with the commercial banks to ensure the exchange of the new currency in all parts of the country. Meanwhile, the CBA has been engaged with various stakeholders, including the public, to educate and sensitize the population on the currency reform program, the features of the new currency, and the implementation process. These engagements have helped both in the managing public expectation and in protecting the integrity of the exchange process. While the CBA has not announced a specific time line for the exchange exercise to be completed, the bank is optimistic of replacing a significant portion, if not all, of the old banknote and coins by the end of the first quarter of this year. As a government, it is important that we acknowledge the policy advice and technical support of our partners, notably the United States Agency for International Development. You say, for hiring the services of CRO and the IMF, who provided the needed technical assistance to the CBA throughout this process. We want to say to USAID and the IMF that the government and people of Liberia are grateful to you for your support and assistance. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, during the year under review, our foreign policy and foreign relations remain on a firm course. As we broaden and strengthen our ties with the international community on both the bilateral and multilateral levels. Of note is that the cessation of the COVID-19 pandemic allowed for in-person participation in summits and other meetings following 2 years of restriction. We were therefore enabled to fully participate in the activities of the international organization of which Liberia is a member. Consequently, we attended the statutory and extraordinary meetings of the Economic Community of West African States, the ECOWAS, the African Union, AU, and the United Nations, UN, either personal or by competent representation. Mr. Speaker, the period under review, the search for genuine and lasting peace in the sub-region, as well as the restoration of constitutional democracy, remain the priority issues on the agenda of ECOWAS. The security and political situation in Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso are being of paramount concern. We continue to support the peacekeeping operation in Mali with the presence of a contingent of the armed forces of Liberia embedded within the United Nations mission MINUSMA in that sister state. We continue to work with our colleagues to resolve the constitutional impasse in the Republic of Mali in order to restore constitutional democracy. The key objective is to restore political order through the holding of free, fair, and transparent elections in the soonest convenient time. The great security situation in the Sahel is of paramount concern to Liberia because it poses a serious threat to the peace and the security of the entire West African sub-region. My government will therefore do all within its power to support the transition agenda of ECOWAS aimed at bringing the Republic of Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso to peace, security, stability, democracy, and constitutional order. Mr. Speaker, with the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions, we made several trips abroad to represent the national interests of Liberia, most notable, among which we were the following. Attaya, Turkey, March 11, 13, to attend the second Attaya Diplomatic Forum. On the sideline of the forum, we held a bilateral meeting with His Excellency Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, President of the Republic of Turkey. Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, May 8 to 10, 2022, to attend the Hub Summit on Drought, Resilience, and Sustainable Land Management. Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, May 27 to 29, 2022, to attend the summit of the African Union. Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, May 29 to 31, 2022, for a working visit. Accra, Ghana, June 1st to 9, 2022, to attend an extraordinary summit of ECOWAS. Accra, Ghana, July 2nd to 4th, 2022, to attend the ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS. Dakar, Senegal, 6 to 8, 2022, to participate in the other summit for Africa. Yamoussoukro, Côte d'Ivoire, August 6, 8, 2022, to participate in events marking the celebration of the 62nd independent anniversary of the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire. New York, USA, September 18 to 24, 2022, to attend the 77 sessions of the United Nations General Assembly. Tangier, Kingdom of Morocco, November 2nd to 5th, 2022, to participate in the 14th edition of the May Days International Forum, where I was invited to give the keynote address. Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, November 6 to 18, 2022, to attend the COP27 Summit. Paris, France, November 11 to 15, 2022, to attend the 5th edition of the Paris Peace Forum. Doha, Qatar, November 18, 29, 2022, to attend the official ceremony of the FIFA World Cup 2022 as guest of honor our speaker, Principality of Monaco, December 1st to 2nd, 2022, to attend and serve as keynote speaker at the 30th edition of the International Peace and Sports Forum, and held bilateral discussion with His Serene Highness Albert II, Sovereign Prince of Monaco, my good friend. Mr. Speaker, last but by no means the least, our privilege to honor an invitation from Joseph Arab Badi to me, President of the United States of America, to participate in the U.S. African Leaders Summit, which was held in Washington, D.C., USA, from 13 to 15 December 2022, where I address different forums, delivering a keynote address at one of the largest of these forums, the African and Diaspora Young Leaders Forum. I highlighted the vital role of the youth and diaspora in Africa. I call on young people and diaspora Africa to play meaningful roles in Africa through innovations, investment, and knowledge transfer. I informed them of the passage in Liberia of the law authorizing dual citizenship and allowing women to pass citizenship to their children, which revises a long-term ban and is central for consolidating a vibrant, progressive, inclusive, and just society. I received a special public commendation from United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken when he stated, and I quote, President Weah, I would like to thank you for your great leadership for strengthening the U.S.-Liberia bond. It is not me who says so. Mr. President, I am sure that U.S.-Liberia relations will flourish. Honor your leadership. And you know what? You know what? No. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Because I always say that, and I will say again, like I said in France, America is our traditional partner. So, if a friend of America is our friend, it's okay. But if you're not a friend of America, then you're not our friend. That's our traditional partner. The United States, look, let me tell you what I hope to be leaders. Those that want to be leaders, there's no compromise. America is an ally of Liberia. It's not opposed. is not opposed. Never made a mistake. America is your partner. I am further pleased to inform you that I was among 5 other heads of state out of the nearly 50 African heads of state and government who were in attendance at the forum, who was specially selected to meet with President Biden at the White House. We had a robust discussion with President Biden on very crucial issues of the election, democracy, rule of law, and development. But you see, this is our country. Well, I'm not yet. 2029, I'm not yet. This is the country that we dream of. The country of democracy. This is the country that all of us wanted to be. Today, this country where the president can wear shirt, you can wear the same shirt, and nobody can hold you. This is the country that will mean that when you bring open that car, nobody can seize it from you because the president can open that car. Previous government, if you wear the same suit like a president, they hold you on the side. But this is the true Liberia that all wanted democracy where you get freedom of speech. When there's no political prisoner. Doing this exclusive but vital meeting, I and the other heads of states made a strong pledge and commitment to hold free, fair, transparent, and peaceful, and inclusive and democratic election in our respective countries. I also made it abundantly clear that on my watch, the democratic credential of Liberia will be safeguarded. Peace, stability, and security. These productive meetings afforded me the opportunity to reaffirm my commitment to strengthening the already existing ties between Liberia and the United States of America. A close bond of friendship and cooperation. I pledge to that friendly government my determination to continue to close collaboration with them in improving good and accountable governance, democracy, and the rule of law in Liberia. In response, I am pleased to report that the U.S. government made a promise to spend $165 million this year on providing financial support to elections in our respective countries, of which Liberia is expected to receive approximately $20 million. Mr. Speaker, in order to continue the enhancement of our leadership role in the sub-region, we are pleased to appoint Madam Mariah G. Harrison as Secretary General of the Manneh Weah Union, to succeed Madam Martina A. Weah, whose tenure ended. We congratulate Madam Weah for successfully steering the affairs of the MRU during her sterling leadership. Similarly, we effected changes in our foreign service where Ambassador Jeff G. Dwana was transferred from Kuwait to replace Ambassador George Patton in Washington, D.C. as Ambassador, Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Liberia to the United States of America. Also, at our permanent mission to the United Nations, Manneh Weah was appointed Ambassador and permanent representative of the Republic of Liberia to that august body. Mr. Speaker, while we recorded general success in our foreign relations, I would like to highlight the following outcome for your information. Construction and dedication of the 100-bed state-of-the-art referral hospital known as the Emirate Hospital in Bopolu City, Bapolu County. Commitment of $2 million by the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia towards the renovation of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs building and subsequent construction of an entirely new building to host the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Saudi Kingdom has also given strong support to the implementation of the PAPT. The commitment by the government of the Kingdom of Morocco to undertake the renovation of the 6th floor of the existing foreign ministry building. A strong commitment by the Mayor of Qatar to fund phase 2 of the Wanga Menikoma Road, support from the Arab Bank of Economic Development. The commitment of the government of Hungary conveyed to me during a bilateral meeting held its foreign minister on the sideline of the major international forum which I attended in Tangier, Morocco, of $50 million export credit guarantees to encourage hungry companies to invest in Liberia. The establishment of diplomatic relations with Jamaica and the Republic of Tajikistan at ministerial level. The establishment of a new passport application center to facilitate the speedy processing of passports for our citizens outside the country. This center will ease the constraint Liberians have faced with obtaining travel documents as well as generating more revenue for government. Additional centers are located in Nairobi, Kenya, Victoria, South Africa, Melbourne, Australia, Chicago, USA, Los Angeles, USA, Minnesota, USA, and New Delhi, India. These centers are set to be commissioned and made operational very soon. Mr. Speaker, during the year-on review, a number of new ambassadors were accredited to Liberia. These include emissary from Japan, South Africa, the Gambia, Czech Republic, Zimbabwe, Spain, and the Slovak Republic, and ambassadors from the Vatican and the Republic of Guinea were recalled. During the period under review, we saw 8 legislative acts that were published into handbill. They are listed in the Appendix B attached to this annual message. Also, during the period under review, some of our compatriots honor their earthly journey and transition from the earthly realm of the terrestrial to the glory of the election. To honor their lives and work official gazettes were issued by the government announcing their sad demise. In the interest of time, their names are listed in the appendix C attached to this annual message. May the soul rest in perfect peace. May I now ask you to stand for a moment of silence as we pay our respect to their passing.
At least I have to.
Thank you. May the souls of all people departed rest in perfect peace. May let the pleasure shine upon them. Mr. Speaker, would now like to make an important announcement about a singular and unprecedented honor that is about to be bestowed on Liberia. Although this event will not take place until 2026, all the diplomatic activities leading to this success have been undertaken by my administration and honor my personal initiative and directive. During the period under review, Liberia's candidature for a seat on the United Nations Security Council as a non-permanent member for 2026-2027 period. Was done during the 40th ordinary session of the Executive Council of the African Union from February 3rd to 7th, 2022 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This candidature of Liberia for a seat on the UN Security Council was also unanimously endorsed by the African Group of Ambassadors at the United Nations in New York. I'm now pleased to announce that the election for Liberia to sit on the Security Council as a non-permanent member of the 2026-27 period will be held in New York in 2025. Needless to say, this will be a very proud moment for our nation and represent the full acceptance of Liberia among the Committee of Nations as a responsible country capable of making significant contribution to global peace and security by sitting on the United Nations Security Council. The highest and most important forum for world peace. Imagine the significance of the journey we have traveled over the past 2 decades from being a war-torn country, ravaged and destroyed by civil war, that lasted for 15 years, which required the deployment of the largest United Nations peacekeeping force at the time, UMI, to bring peace to our troubled land, and now having a seat on the Security Council of the very United Nations that have been set to save us from ourselves. We have the Lord to be thankful for our people. I say to God be the glory for the great things He has done. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President Pro Tempore and members of the 54th Legislature, the road network of our country continues to remain the focus and passion of my administration. And today I am pleased to inform you that we have made considerable gains in the road and transport sector during the period under review. The Ministry of Public Works remains the fulcrum of our development agenda through the full executions of its mandate to plan. procure and construct public infrastructure. It has continued its constructive engagement with our traditional financing partner and has been successful in raising funds for the construction of new primary road network as well as for the implementation of several additional development projects. With the support of our partners, we have made significant gains in the pavement of primary roads for all ongoing projects. To date, a total of 45 kilometers have been paved on the Banga to Salaye road corridor. 100 kilometers has been paved on the Ganta to Saklepier road. 31 kilometers on Sanikore to Lokato road corridor. I'm also pleased to inform you that we have paved 30 kilometers of the Ganta to Yekepa road corridor. We have made progress on the rubber sports to Mandina Road and the RRA road corridor. These are funded exclusively by the government of Liberia. All of these road work are still ongoing. In addition to these gains on our primary road construction project, the 40-kilometer Tapeta to Tostown road construction project is ongoing. While we have commenced the pavement of project affecting persons along this corridor to facilitate early commencement of work when the project is contracted and signed in the first quarter of this year. In an effort to ensure accessibility of our people between Ganta and Zwetu, I reported to this body in my address last year that the government was engaged in discussing with the World Bank to secure the financing that will alleviate the problem faced by commuters using this stretch of road. As Liberians, we can all recall the difficulty faced by road users that travel along this particular road corridor. This situation also causes major impediment to the economic development of our people. As this route is a major trade corridor to a large part of this country and to the rest of the region, the completion of this road will be a game changer in the travel dynamics of our country. Against this background, Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to inform you that talks with our partner were very fruitful, and we have now secured the full financing required to connect the remaining 75 kilometers between Tostown and Zwetu, as well as in addition to these achievements in the sector, the consultant for the design and studies of the 110-kilometer road corridor between Flowecan to Zwetu has been procured through funding by the African Development Bank. I am also pleased to inform you, Mr. Speaker, that this is the last remaining road section between Zwetu and Fishtown, for which my administration has already secured the financing. With these major commitments, secure and processes ongoing for the preparation of the document leading to the procurement of consultants and contractors, I can assure this august body that our nation is on the positive path to make the smooth travel from Ganta to Harper on asphalt paved road a reality. As a matter of fact, as we speak, the construction of the 20-kilometer road section between Fishtown to Flowoken is currently ongoing. Continuing with our primary road connection between counties and capital, previously mentioned that progress has been made in securing the commitment of funding by our Arab partner, which include Saudi Fund for Development, Kuwaiti Fund for Arab Economic Development, and OPEC Fund for International Development for the construction of the Sarai to Konya Road corridor. This arrangement is still on course. The recent re-ratification exercise between government and the funding partner has given us hope that these works are soon to be moved from the planning phase into active construction activities. Additionally, study are far advanced on the 50-kilometer Barclay to Flowing Road, which is being funded by the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development, and construction work are expected to commence this fiscal year. Mr. Speaker, when we commence our leadership, the total paved road in our national road network was only 745 kilometers throughout the entire country, representing less than 5% of the network. Today, we have increased this number to 1,375 kilometers. With an additional 436 kilometers paved in the primary road category alone. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and honorable legislators, as we advance with our road construction work, it is important that maintenance of the primary road corridor is continued in order to ensure accessibility of our people throughout the country. Even during major setback, let the rainy season while new road construction is a priority. My administration has also committed resources for the maintenance of the already existing road assets throughout the country. In this regard, maintenance work are ongoing on approximately 500 kilometers of unpaved primary roads, including the 38-kilometer Greenville to Weah Town Road in Sando, the 118-kilometer Greenville to Bokonjiken in Sando and Grand Coup, the 115 to Plibo to Bois Jiken Road in Sando and Grand Coup, and 130-kilometer Zia Town to Zwedu, Putuken Road in Grand Gile, the 72-kilometer Brevi to Compasu Road in Bomi, and the 68-kilometer Konya to Vanjima Road in Lofa County. We are also ongoing along the Simport Bridge to Temelberg Highway and the Harper to Kaluken Road. We have also continued our efforts in the cleaning of drainages across Liberia, including Monrovia and other cities which are prone to flooding during the heavy downpour of rain each year. With the active involvement of communities, we incorporated community-based organizations which ensure employment of several community members in taking up responsibility for the cleaning of drainages within their respective neighborhoods. Mr. Speaker, upon my ascendancy to the presidency in 2018, One of my administration's immediate action in the road sector was to operationalize the National Road Fund, Office of the Liberia. Today, this action has derived immense benefit for the road sector and has enabled the effective delivery of our road program for our beloved country. I'm proud to reveal that since my incumbency, a total of 198 kilometers of community roads in 7 counties have been completed, with over 75 kilometers ongoing, through the contribution of Liberians who paid a few levies on every gallon of gasoline or fuel oil they purchase. We continue to expand this program in maintaining our existing network and the construction of new community roads. In this regard, the construction of the 5.4 kilometer road from Johnsonville to Mount Barkley is ongoing and will be completed by June this year. The 12 kilometer Johnsonville turning point to Mount Coffee Road is also going on, along with the 4.2 kilometer Soul Cleaner Road, the 2.1 kilometer Peace Island to 540 community, the 0.6 kilometer Fanti Town Road, and the 2.3 kilometer New Georgia to Gulf Road. In addition to these works, Mr. Speaker, we have also commenced some new projects, including the 1.5 kilometer Riverview Road to Hotel Africa Road, the PC Camp to GSA Road, which is about 300 meters, the layout and ongoing pavement of 8.7 kilometers of the Kakatan City streets, and have reassumed construction of the 3.2 kilometer Valley Island access road. My government has also broken ground for the 6.5 kilometer Fiscal to Simple Bridge, which constitutes a continuation of the grant we received from our partner, the government of Japan. As we focus on our roads program, we continue to see the significant adverse impact of climate change on our communities and people. We recognize the need to address important livelihood issues as we expand our developmental efforts throughout the country. I am therefore pleased to inform this August body that our government has signed a 10 million euros grant for the funding of the Monrovia Integrated Development Project provided by the government of France through a French development agency. This amount is to be used to improve the livelihood of 3 communities in Monrovia through the provisions of climate resilience facilities such as roads, drainages, community hall, and recreational facilities, etc. In an effort to expand this program to the rest of the country, an additional funding of $40 million has also been provided by the World Bank through the Liberia Urban Resilience Project to promote climate resilience infrastructure in the rest of Monrovia by the construction of new drainages network. Plan and design had already been prepared for the commencement of work in this year, and efforts are being made to extend similar activities to 3 additional cities, namely Bwanga, Bikana, and Ganta. Mr. Speaker, distinguished legislators, ladies and gentlemen, my administration is fully aware of ongoing activities on the Roberts International Airport Road, and we are working closely with all stakeholders to deliver this project for our people. The success of this project will benefit all Liberians and will positively impact the safety of all commuters using the highway. I remain focused on its delivery and wish to assure you, all Liberians, that this project will be a success. Mr. Speaker, as the agenda for development continues in these challenging times, we have completed and dedicated the additional 4 markets constructed at the Omega International Market and are working with the leadership of the Liberia Marketing Association and partner to ensure a smooth transition of marketers to this market ground. I would also like to mention that work on feeder and rural roads continue to make headway through the support of partners and with funding from this government. In this regard, we are continuing our rural road maintenance activity through the establishment of 10 community-based organizations that are now directly benefiting 17 towns and villages from these communities and providing improved livelihood for the people along this road corridor. Similarly, the Liberian Swedish feeder roads project, in support of our purple agenda, continues to demonstrate a strong commitment to the development of firm farm-to-market roads that serve the livelihood of small rural communities. In line with the objective, the period under review saw the complete rehabilitation of an additional 77 kilometers of feeder roads, as well as the regraving of an additional 94 kilometers of feeder roads under the same program. To further strengthen our intervention in local communities and provide economic opportunity for our people, our routine maintenance program completed an additional 950 kilometer feeder roads and provided job opportunity in 7 counties for 180 communities and more than 1,000 individuals. Additionally, in collaboration with our Swedish partner, the period under review saw the commencement of a new flagship project to improve village access through the construction of 134 kilometers of village tracks for 168 communities. This project has employed a total of 1,760 individuals and will continue till May this year. Mr. Speaker, as part of the progress we have made in the sector, it is important that we inform our people on gains made in constructing and maintaining bridges across our country. During the period under review, this administration completed 2 additional bridges and broke ground for the construction of the Buchanan Community College Bridge in Grand Bassa County, which is currently ongoing, and the Dougherty Bridge in Baton County. I would now like to express my profound thanks and appreciation to our development partners, including the European Union, the European Investment Bank, the World Bank, the UKA, the German government, KfW, and GIZ. I would also like to thank our Arab partners, including the Saudi Fund, the Kuwaiti Fund, and BIDA, as well as the United States Agency for International Development, the USAID, the Japanese government and JICA, the Swedish government and its LSFRP program, the Chinese government and its China Aid program, the Norwegian government, the Indian government, and most especially the African Development Bank. The people of Liberia will forever remain grateful to these important and significant development partners for their commitment and continual contribution to the development of our country. For their support to our National Development Plan of my government, the Global Agenda for Prosperity and Development. Mr. Speaker, in October last year, I launched the Accelerated Community Development Program of ACDP, as it is commonly called, the first phase of this flagship program, which is being implemented in partnership with the UNDP. It's budgeted at $100 million and will help us to create more jobs and reduce poverty and inequality in some of the poorest rural and urban communities in Liberia. As I stated, the launch, our aim is for the ACDP to become our largest national program investing in community development over the next 4 years. Our ministry and agency, especially the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Public Works, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, and the Water and Sanitation Commission, and others will collaborate with UNDP and other development partners such as the World Bank to invest in constructing agricultural feeder roads, water and irrigation system for farmers, hydropower plants, sanitation facility, and markets to serve local communities. Also include in the ACDP will be agricultural hubs equipped with food storage facility, machines, schools and health centers, boreholes and hand pumps placed in hard-to-reach community across Liberia. We will also be providing agricultural tools, tractors and farm equipment to help our farmers and cooperatives increase their productivity and improve their livelihood. Today, I am pleased to announce that the initial $14.5 million has been secured for the program, and work is now starting in 18 communities, namely Dofa, Boemata, and Jowulata, and Bonkante, Bokolusete, Kompasu, Madina, Sapima, Loluma Town, Fawita, and Toto Kwele in Bokolu County, Yapa Town, Badie Town, Tokyo, Yapa Town, County. Over the coming months, the program will expand to 42 additional communities in Mosovalo County, Greater Monrovia, River G, Grand Gila, and Grand Cook County. And by next year, we will be investing in all counties and districts across the country. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, as a part of our strategic plan to ensure reliable and affordable energy, we have embarked on several initiatives, namely the purchase of power through the CH-2 transmission line from Côte d'Ivoire, the implementation of the 20 megawatt solar power plant, the expansion of Manneh by 2 additional timber, and undertaking feasibility study for further development of the Fiscal River with the view of developing another hydro and a reservoir. I am pleased to report that the Liberia Electricity Corporation has signed a power purchase agreement with CR Energy of Côte d'Ivoire for the initial purchase of 27 megawatts, which will be scaled up to 50 megawatts based on increases in our energy demand. The supply of power commenced on December 1st, 2022, and our national grid now enjoys stable electricity from the CH-2 line. I'm also pleased to inform this August body that the Executive Board of the World Bank has approved an amount of $96 million to finance a 20 megawatt solar project. These projects will increase our internal installed energy capacity from 126 megawatts to 188 megawatts, representing a 40% increase of installed capacity. More importantly, our renewable and clean energy generation capacity will constitute 80% of our total installed capacity, which such a major component of our generation mix, being clean energy, will be contributing to the reductions of CO2 emissions in the environment. Additionally, with the support of the World Bank and the West African Power Pool, we have commenced feasibility study for a second hydropower plant of 150 megawatts upstream of the Fiscal River and the Via Reservoir. The realization of additional hydro generation assets will prepare Liberia into a new stage of energy security. To date, our national grid now extends to 8 counties, namely Monserrato, Bomi, Kebman, Magibi, Bom, Nimba, Benchile, and Maryland County. Our high voltage transmission line covers 254 kilometers, while our medium voltage transmission lines cover 641 kilometers. Today, there are over 180,000 households with access to grid electricity. I want to thank our key development partners in the energy sector for their role in financing the rebuilding of our national grid and the restoration of our generation assets, including the rehabilitation of the Manneh hydro. Special recognition goes to the World Bank, the European Union and the European Investment Bank, African Development Bank and the United States government and its aid agency, the government of Norway, the German Development Bank, KfW, and the government of Japan. As we strive to bring reliable and affordable energy to our people, which is necessary for the economic growth and development of our country, I want to clearly state that we will not accept any attempt to undermine these efforts. Power theft has led to a loss of over $40 million last year and threatening the sustainability of LEC and the reliable supply of electricity. With your cooperation, we successfully passed the Power Theft Act, which made power theft a second-degree felony. I am therefore reminding all of our citizens and foreign residents that power theft is a crime in Liberia. My government has allocated significant budgetary support to realize the CLSG project, despite so many competing social demands and a limited fiscal space. We made this sacrifice because we strongly believe that our people deserve to have access to electricity. But electricity is not free, and we must all be good citizens and pay for the electricity we consume. I am pleased to commend the anti-power theft team for their hard work. And dedication to wish to assure the team of our full support for their efforts. My government will remain vigilant and resolute against power theft. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore and members of the 54th Legislature, my stance in ensuring the rights and protection of all Liberians cannot be overemphasized. However, as Liberia's family-in-chief, I remain committed to upholding the dignity and safeguarding the human rights of the most vulnerable segment of our population. Women, girls, and children. Within this context, my government has made and continues to make significant efforts to address the scourge of sexual and gender-based violence, the SGBV, in a strategic and more coordinated manner. We continue to work with our international partners to address the issue of SGBV against our women and children, deployed to justice system in order to achieve a meaningful reduction of SGBV during this year and the years to come. Through implementation of the anti-SGBV roadmap, we have provided financial resources not only for prevention and response, but also for the well-being of survivors through the renovation of safe homes and the provision of functional operational support services. Even as we are cognizant of our responsibility to uphold our traditional tenets and cultural practices, we believe that we still have an obligation to ensure that harmful traditional practices such as female genital mutilation and early child marriage are addressed holistically in order to protect our women and girls. In so doing, we are mindful that we must respectfully employ culturally appropriate approaches with our traditional leaders. I would like to express my thanks and appreciation to Chief Zanzan Kawa, National Council of the Chiefs and Elders of Liberia, and all of our traditional leaders for historically leading by example. In the show of support for my administration, gender, We acknowledge their role in ensuring that we keep the beautiful parts of our culture, even as we work to do away with harmful traditional practices. Since my declaration to finding a pathway to achieve this goal, we have seen the express commitment to work with me, as was exemplified by the ceremony here this morning in Soken Town, Kogi District, symbolizing the end of harmful traditional practices in Mossorado County. This marks the beginning of a new era, where our beautiful girls will be initiated and given deep knowledge of their culture without mutilation. To foster these efforts, alternative livelihood programs are being set up for our zones and traditional leaders through financial and technical support from the European Union Spotlight Initiative, implemented by the One UN organization. Under this program, 3 vocational and heritage centers have already been completed in Grand Cape County, Mossorado, and Nima County. These centers will serve as alternative means of livelihood for our cultural custodians who are entrusted with enlightening our guests on their traditional culture, modes, and values. Mr. Speaker, the Liberian Society Safety Net project under the Ministry of Gender is now in full swing, continuing to make significant impact in targeted counties. We say a special thanks to the World Bank, UK Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, and USAID for their generous support to this project. With support from the World Bank, $44.6 million has been secured for the Liberian Women Empowerment Project, which is geared towards empowering women, addressing social norms, inequalities, and gender-based violence in over 170 communities, targeting more than 258,000 beneficiaries. Today, I reaffirm my commitment to see more women on the ballot for elections. This is nothing against the men. It is the form of participation. Without women, we will not be whole. The concern of the pending 2020 elections, funding has been secured for UN Women for a nationwide awareness and dialogue campaign. They are promoting women's political participation in this year's election. In the context, let me remind you that Liberia has an exemplary history of record-breaking female leadership, both in the politics and civil society organization. We were the first to produce an elected female president on the African continent. We also proudly take credit for producing the first female vice president of Liberia. Today, I am pleased to inform you of another important glass ceiling that has been broken by a female who has ascended to the leadership of an organization that has always been led by males. For the first time since its founding, 48 years ago, the Federation of Liberian Youth flag, Liberia's largest youth grouping has elected its first female. If you are here, please stand. Congratulations, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Please give a round of applause. We congratulate Ms. Elliott and the members of FLAG for this pioneer and progressive achievement. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, the government of Liberia continues to build the operational and administrative capability of the armed forces of Liberia, in order to ensure that it remains a force for good. In this regard, I am pleased to inform you that the government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the United Nations to strengthen our troop presence with the UN peacekeeping mission. Last year, we continued the rotation of troops to Mali as part of Liberia's commitment to the United Nations peacekeeping operations in that country. This, together with other activities that were carried out during the period under review, is further demonstrative of our commitment to change the story of the Liberian military. Let me thank you, honorable lawmakers, for the passage of the Uniform Codes of Military Justice into law. This will go a long way in ensuring that we have a force that is first and foremost accountable to the Liberian people. Mr. Speaker, I am happy to report that the latest school enrollment data has shown a massive improvement in the gender gap between male and female students in education system in the country. 49.5% are female, while male constitute 50.5%. This is quite impressive and represents the fulfillment of the major goal of my administration, which is to ensure that women have equal access to education as their male counterparts. Also, the school data show that there has been an increase in the number of schools in the country by 20%, with teachers numbering more than 60,000, although a significant proportion of them are volunteers. In order to address this situation, my administration has been accelerating efforts in recent years to reduce that number by employing hundreds of volunteer teachers. With the various interventions the government has made in the sector aimed at improving access and quality, it comes as no surprise that the Liberian students have shown remarkable performance improvement in the WISE and the WISE exams. Mr. Speaker, I have consistently emphasized that the development of young people remains fundamental to the attainment of the goals and objectives of our global agenda. To this end, a number of programs are being implemented which are aimed at developing the capacity of our youth and providing them short-term employment opportunities. Some of these include the National Youth literacy program, temporary employment for community youth, youth on the job training program. Another such program is the recovery of economic activity for Liberian informal sector employment. This is a $10 million US project which has been launched by the government of Liberia to give 19,000 economically vulnerable people in the informal sector increased access to income earning opportunities in the aftermath of the COVID-19 crisis in Liberia. We have established technical and vocational schools in 8 counties. These are meant to equip our young people who are willing and determined to add value to their lives by giving them market-relevant skills and training. It is my hope that the thousands of at-risk youth who are being targeted for rehabilitation under the new multi-million-dollar initiative launched last year can also benefit from our national TVET programs. Let me use this opportunity to congratulate winners in all categories of the just ended county sports meet tournament, particularly Nimba County. Much deserved victory over Lofa County in the second category. Talent spotted for this tournament, which continues to gain strength, can be used to augment the capacity of the country's national soccer team. Mr. Speaker, during the period under review, my government implemented various programs to ensure more access to justice in a people-centered way through critical reform of the legal regime of the criminal justice system, with a view to improve access to justice, enhance expeditious trials, reduce the case dockets of courts, and decrease overcrowding of corrections facilities, as well as other justice-related and security services delivery. The alternative dispute resolution in non-litigations and repository approach to resolve conflicts and dispute settlement has been revitalized. Other key laws reforms were introduced, such as the enactment of an amendment to the criminal procedure law, which introduced plea bargaining, extended the term of courts, increasing the number of relieving judges, preliminary examination, and procedure of arrest. These endeavors were made possible largely with support from Liberia's international partners, including the United Nations Family through the Office of the Resident Coordinator. The passage of the amended drugs law in 2022 was a key milestone in our fight against narcotic substances in our country. The law ensures that offenders receive straightforward punishment for their involvement in illicit drug trafficking. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to report that last year was a high-performing period in our agricultural sector, where more focus was placed directly on impacting rural and urban farmers, as well as those in the agricultural value chain. This is evidenced by the delivery of implements to farmers, enable them boost local production, the government and donor partners disburse financial grants to farmers in the rice, vegetable, oil palm, rubber, poultry, fishery, and cassava sector, so as to expand the production and capacity in their respective value chain. The agricultural sector now enjoys the confidence of donors who support and present allow for greater production of rice and other crops, and the employment of climate-smart agricultural practices that help mitigate the impact of climate change on farmers. Mr. Speaker, in the early days of my administration, I signed the Liberian Agricultural Commercialization Fund, funded by the World Bank and the International Fund for Agricultural Development. The LACF has expanded from an initial 3 value chain, rice, oil palm, and horticulture, to now include 4 more value chains: rubber, cassava, fishery, and poultry. The LACF is also spread nationwide and provides access to finance for commercial farms and agro business. I am pleased to report that $4 million out of a total of $41.5 million has already been approved for disbursement to selected beneficiaries, particularly rice and vegetable producer and processor. I am also pleased to inform you that His Excellency President Biden has recently named Liberia as one of very few African countries to be a beneficiary of the U.S. Feed the Future program, which is the flagship global food security initiative. Mr. Speaker, we are all aware preparatory work are already ongoing for the conduct of the 2023 general and presidential elections that will be held in October this year. I am told that the Board of Commissioners of the National Election Commission has reaffirmed its decision to use biometrics technology for the registration of voters for this election. We remain grateful for the continued support to our electoral process that we continue to receive from our international partners, including the African Union, ECOWAS, the U.S. government, and the European Union. Let me reiterate that my administration remains committed to ensuring that the express will of the Liberian people prevail, and that the process is free, fair, transparent, and peaceful. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President pro tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, since the end of violence conflict in 2003, followed by transitional justice processes, including the 2009 report of the Truth and Reconciliation Mission (TRC), Liberia remains on a gradual but certain path to genuine reconciliation. In this regard, my government looks forward to a future of consolidating the peace, enhancing the continuing stability, and undertaking reform to address the culture of impunity and to foster national reconciliation and social cohesion. Mr. Speaker, as President, I have continued to preach about virtues of peace from this high platform. As an extension of my well-known career in peace advocacy, which began long before I ascended to this office. This was recognized many years ago by the international community when I was appointed as the Peace Ambassador of the United Nations. The further manifestation of my passion for peace was when I was invited by my predecessor, former President Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, to serve in her government as her peace ambassador, even while I was in opposition. I preach peace because I realized a long time ago that there is and can never be any victor in a civil war. When brothers kill sisters and sisters kill brothers, when parents kill children and children kill parents, when friends kill each other, and citizens with the common patrimony turn violently on each other, no one wins. Instead, everyone loses. Directly or indirectly, there is not one single Liberian family that did not lose a relative or friend to this terrible fratricide war. That was both senseless and brutally uncivil, almost demonic. To ensure that we never return to those dark days, we must give peace a chance. To create a space in which we can begin the dialogue that will resolve our differences, we must hold a conversation to discuss how we can maintain our peace in a sustainable manner so as to be able to develop our country. I have observed that it is mostly young people who are the ones that are used to agitate. These young people have had little or no experience of war. We have now enjoyed 20 years of unbroken peace, and it can readily be seen that young people who are coming off voting age for the first time since turning 18 years old have had no experience of war. They are quickly and easily manipulated to do harm and instill violence. We need to guide our young people and inspire them to reject violence and conflict as a means to express their grievances and dissatisfaction. When the Rest riot took place in 1980, I was only 30 years old. That was the first time that I had ever seen violence and destruction on such a massive scale. As a young man, I was confused and perplexed. That experience left an indelible impression on me about horrors of civil unrest that can lead to violence and a lasting state of violence that is unleashed for political reasons. The thought occurred to me at that time that there was no political leader among the hundreds of young people who had been killed during the Rest riot. I repeat, the thought occurred to me the time that there was no political leader among the hundreds of young people who have been killed during the Rest riot. The moral lesson for all of us who were around during these civil wars and domestic riots is that we should never allow our young people to be contaminated by everyday politics. No political leader should ever put the life of a single young person at risk in order to assume political office. There is a song written by Marshall and Creed called The Greatest Love of All, which was made famous by George Benson and Whitney Houston many years ago. And I want to share the voice of this song with you, because I believe it's relevant to our situation in Liberia and perfectly express my feeling about political violence. And the song said, I believe that children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children remind us how we used to be. Mr. Speaker, it is often said that experience is the best teacher. Yes. But I vigorously disagree with this. While experience has certain undeniable merits, one does not have to repeat an experience learned from it, especially if it is not a positive one. One should revert to history for one education, because, as it's often said, those who know the lesson that history teaches us about our past mistakes are bound to repeat them. Without peace, our world will be difficult. With peace, we can find the collective wisdom and consensus to become the best that we can be as a nation and as a people. Madam Vice President, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President Pro Tempore, and members of the 54th Legislature, I'm now going to speak directly to the Liberian people. Thank you. My fellow Liberians, in spite of the negative forecast, when we first took on the mantle of leadership of this nation in 2018, we have accomplished quite a lot against all the odds. The naysayers and the prophets of dooms are perplexed by the progress that we have made. Those who have eyes to see will very listening to how hard we have fought in fulfillment of the constitutional mandate that was given to us by the overwhelming majority of the Liberian people. Together, over the past 5 years, we have fought a good fight. Yes. Collectively, we have undeniably managed to preserve the peace, yes, of the nation, which has become the ultimate goal of all our national undertaking. And for this, the government alone cannot take the credit. All Liberians have played a pivotal role in this story. No matter how large or small, in spite of the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the downturn in the world economy, Liberia continues to make giant strides in achievement of our major development objective. We have endeavored to mitigate the external shocks that have come our way. And in doing so, we have remained resilient as a united people. I want to assure you that because you have shown me unprecedented love, I will not fail you. This tenor of care and carefulness will continue on my watch. I will always work diligently, assiduously, and passionately to justify the confidence that has been imposed in me by you. The deadly COVID-19 pandemic may have delayed, but did not derail our development agenda. During the next 5 months leading up to October this year, we will continue to accelerate, continue to build on our momentum, and continue to deliver. My fellow citizens, I will be coming to you shortly. My fellow citizens, I will be coming to you shortly to ask you to renew for a second time. to its rightful place in the community of nations, to a higher place of peace and prosperity for all. We can do this, and we must all do it together. We will be coming to meet you in your town, in your villages, in your district, in your clan, in your cities. So together we can build a strong partnership on Liberia's progress. But as you can see, we are on an irreversible trajectory, sustainable growth that will necessarily and inevitably lead us to progress as a nation and prosperity as a people. When we came before you to ask you for our first mandate, we promised to bring you change for hope. Now, after going with you on a journey thus far, you have seen a change.
Go ahead.
Now, want to assure you that this is the change that you can come on.
Thank you.
The challenge and legacy that I would like to leave for the younger generation is that should not just feel leadership, but that you should also claim it. Young people should not feel leadership, they should claim it. I encourage and admonish you too. Young people, seize the day, seize the moment, seize the opportunity. This is your time. This is our time. And also, my fellow citizens, as we stand here today, let me assure you that the state of our nation is strong. The state of our nation is stable. The state of our nation is vibrant. The state of our nation is useful. The state of our nation is peaceful and secure. We intend to keep it this way. As we go to the polls in October this year, let us uphold and maintain our hard-won democracy. Let us conduct ourselves in the lawful and orderly way, so that the voices of the people will be heard, and the will of the Liberian people will prevail. Because, as is often said, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Our partners and friends in the mortal wars of our beloved national anthem, with God above our right to prove, we will all obey. I thank you.
Oh,
The executive committee members of both houses will now escort the president to the rotunda. The committee on the executive of both houses Joseph, this organizer members.